Let's go back to the Eastern Cape now. Reporter Jayed-Leigh Paulse is there for us. Jade, good afternoon to you. Set the scene for us as Day Zero approaches. How bad is it?
Yes, good afternoon, Natasha. We are coming to you once again from Nelson Mandela Bay here in the Eastern Cape. We've been crossing the entire day, taking you through from Butterworth with my colleague Busisiwe Jemsana and myself from Kocha, bringing you the latest on the water crisis here within Nelson Mandela Bay and the Eastern Cape as a whole. As you know, in Nelson Mandela Bay, the collective dam levels are 24%, with the Kocha Dam being a staggering 8% only. Jayed-Leigh scheme is the only scheme that actually provides Nelson Mandela Bay with water alongside the several other dams. But the Churchill Dam significantly is being called the saving grace, and that's the dam that the Metro will be using as a contingency plan going forward. But Natasha, with me right now, I do have the Executive Mayor, Mr. Athol Trollip, and he's going to be talking about those contingency plans over the next couple of months, as well as if there are any plans for desalination plants here in the Metro. Good afternoon, Athol.
Hello, Jade. Look, long term, there has to be a plan for desalination for all the coastal cities in South Africa, especially those that are experiencing this drought that seems to be interminable. But it is a last resort. It's very, very expensive, and we are looking at some private-public partnerships with companies that are already making salt in Nelson Mandela Bay from seawater, so we can augment our water with that. So it would really only be an augmentation. But what we found that with the Churchill Dam, for example, is that we stopped using it 6 months ago, and there were only 2 months where we had higher than seasonal rain or normal monthly rainfall, and that dam level rose quite considerably. So it is a catchment area that we've got in reserve, but we also built drilling boreholes. There are boreholes just below the Churchill Dam that we are now going to tap into and then feed straight into the canal that takes that water to a treatment works. And we're doing that in the Kop area. There's a massive underground aquifer there with artesian water that comes out of the ground of its own accord. That water has got an iron content in it that we can take out with a biological treatment process, and we can also dilute that water and feed it into our system. But the best way to prevent Day Zero is to save water. It's like a bank account. You'll never have money in your bank account unless you save, and we can always avoid Day Zero if we all change our practices and habits and use much less water, and I think that can be done.
Now, I must say, Mr. Mayor, that with the water crisis in Cape Town, it really has shocked the Nelson Mandela Bay residents and the Eastern Cape as a whole, because people are pulling together, hey? People are saying, we need to save water.
Look, it shocked the whole country, not just the coastal cities. And the Jayed-Leigh scheme that you mentioned actually comes from the Lesotho Highlands, and then it goes into the Garib Dam and down the Fish River and into canals to Nelson Mandela Bay. So that actually shows that water is a national and an international resource, and that we must use it carefully, all of us. So when we have areas that are not in drought, they mustn't think that that's not going to change. That can change very, very quickly. So I think the thing about this Cape Town situation is it's focused all of our attentions to say we have to change our habits, and there are so many ways that people can save water, and that is really the best way to avoid getting to Day Zero, because water is God-given, and we can manage the water that we get, but we can't manufacture rain.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was Executive Mayor Athol Trollip talking about the water crisis here in Nelson Mandela Bay, also reflecting on the Eastern Cape as a whole. But as it stands, the Metro has also said that tariffs will not be going up unless we do not have sufficient rainfall in those catchment areas. It's back to you in studio.
Jay, thanks so much. Our Jayed-Leigh Paulse live from the Eastern Cape.